Hello everyone, I'll just get my screen ready to go. Welcome to Week 10. We are moving steadily along towards the end of the unit, so hopefully you've kept up and are still enjoying the content and making your way through. So this is just a bit of an overview. Week 10 is fairly hefty with readings and information, so it will also help you with preparing for the assessment too, which is during week 12. Hopefully you've had a chance to have a look at the two flip collaborates that were organised. One was a pre-flipped that looked at learning outcome 6 and then the assessment itself, and then there's also a question and answer available for you to have a look at. If you still have any other questions, please keep posting them on the discussion board and we can work through those. So with regard to the learning materials and activities this week, the next few slides will just unpack that, and then we'll just have a look at a couple of other items. So what Week 10 aims to do, before you get too overwhelmed with what information is there, the focus is on assessment. So I've just broken down the sections. Firstly, we look at what the purpose of assessment is and why we assess. And there's some points there about formative feedback, providing students with an understanding of their development, and informing both teachers and students about progress. So that links back to the 4 to 4 questions. An effective assessment has a couple of requirements to make sure that it is purposeful, and that it looks at that it's formative, iterative and ongoing. It is clear, transparent and co-constructed, so both the teacher and the student have involvement over what it is and what it looks like, and that the assessment should aim to support moving students towards independence where possible. So that just also depends on where their learning needs are at that point in time. How do you design assessments that are effective and that both you and the student can understand and use? So this is looking at things that are clear and explicit in design, that is written for students to read, so it's in friendly language, through to design that considers assessment principles, whether it's relevant, reliable, fair, constructed. It's ongoing. Things like rubrics are often really good measures, and moderation to ensure consistency. And that comes back to sort of student conferencing and that one-to-one discussion that you'll be having about their learning and their progress, and also that they're understanding the content and the topic and what the tasks are involved for them to achieve their best outcomes. And then how you mark assessments. How do you ensure that the marking is consistent across a piece of work? And how do you know what levels students are achieving? And that's referring to things like benchmarks and diagnostics, collaborative assessment and moderation, and regular review. And the moderation process, hopefully that you've maybe had a chance already to have a look at teachers working through that in schools, is very, very insightful. And it really, I think it's as rewarding as it is for teachers to see consistency across the board, and then being able to then feed that back to the students. I think moderation process is really effective. In the early days, before NAPLAN became what it is, it was known as AIM, and there was a moderation process that happened within each school that then sent their results off, and that process was so worthwhile for that reason, but they've since taken that out. So something to consider even just for doing within the school system as it is now, just within your own teams when you have a look at their NAPLAN writing particularly. So how do you mark consistently as a part of a teaching team? You're using criteria and work samples to refer to, using benchmarks like NAPLAN, and the marking guide is something that you can refer to this week just to see where that would look and how you could get that going, and collaboration of feedback to understand approaches and perspectives. So it's an ongoing conversation, which is rich and worthwhile. So hopefully that will give you a bit of a framework to set the context up for this week. Okay, so the activities are joined, split into 2 parts, firstly to work in groups and then to share your findings back for review. I've just written there that you can refer to the wider learning group discussion board and then post your final findings back to activity 2 so that we can draw on general consensus. That's the reason that it has been split. However, I know that Neil has suggested perhaps we could do it just by posting on the discussion board. And I think that would work as well. It just depends on how many responses start to appear, because it could be a little hard to sort of decipher. So look, let's just see how that week goes with the discussion board, and we can just moderate as we go. I'm happy either way, as long as we get the information towards the end and we've got a consensus. I think that either way is worthwhile. The assessment evidence list is posted on the front page of the week 10 link. Refer to this as your starting point. Also read the key sections of the ACR Literacy and Numeracy Test Assessment Framework document, which are in the week's readings. And I've just made it a little bit more easy for you by just selecting some sections for you to have a look at. So to unpack the literacy demands requirements in the ACR Literacy and Numeracy Test and the Assessment Framework, there's the Core Skills Framework. Maybe refer to page 15, and we're just looking at levels 2 to 5, with more of a focus on levels 4 and 5 for the standard that we're aiming for. These aspects here, including access and identify, retrieve, reflect and evaluate, are on page 16, just to have a look at. And then the technical writing processor skills, including grammar, punctuation, spelling, vocabulary, purpose, and audience structure and cohesion, have a look at pages 17 to 19 for those ones. They're quite big documents, so that just sort of refines it down so that you're not sort of swimming in words. Let's be efficient as we can. So there to refer to. So we'll work together to agree and form consensus regarding the evidence that should be demonstrated, keeping in mind that what we need to recognise for the assessment is the ACR Literacy and Numeracy Test Framework, which is based on higher level 4-5, demonstrated literacy across the unit and or other units, including practical experience, personal experience, high written skills with assessment tasks, so that you can refer to those. Reading and writing are the priority, but then again, multi-literacy should also be included somewhere to demonstrate your understanding of literacy, not just being reading and writing, incorporating a different measure of communication. So that's a consideration, and then also how literacy is related to the requirements of the teacher, such as those mentioned in the defining standards, and they have been articulated as well for you to refer to. So there should be some information there that you can sort of link your evidence to. Okay, so that pretty much completes the week. I will be in touch on the discussion boards, so just post away. I'm looking forward to seeing what people come up with for suggested evidence. And yeah, have a great week, everyone. Thank you.